Welcome back to the show, good friends. Brian from Apex Detail. This is the second video of the short series, just an introduction to paint protection film. I've been getting a lot of questions on the subject, so I thought I would give you the basics, give you a little bit of a taste. Maybe you'll get an idea if you want to get into it or not, if you want to start to apply this to your own vehicle, or if you want to look into training. I can tell you right away, you're not going to learn how to do this watching videos on YouTube. You're still not even going to learn it right away taking a 2-day, 3-day, or 5-day course. You're going to need to do this for a year, 2, 3, 5 years before you will feel comfortable and have all the nuances and get to know the film and the material you are applying to all the different materials, paints, surfaces, and the shapes of those surfaces. There are installers out there that have much more experience and time doing this than even I do, or there's always somebody that has been doing this longer than yourself and has more tips and tricks. Pay attention to them and learn, and I have the utmost respect for them. All right, so we have the slip solution on top of the panel and the film on top of that, and we're going to spray some slip solution on top of the film. So when we're squeegeeing it, or right now I'm just using my hands to wipe away and pull some of the air pockets and some of the solution out. You can use gel if you want to, you can use straight up water if you want more of a tack. I try to use the least amount of tack solution as possible. So the solution will let the film move, so you can adjust it on the panel. And if you need to lift it to get more solution in there, just lift it high enough so you can get the nozzle of your sprayer in there. The more you lift up that film, guys, the more contaminants have a chance to get in there, work their way in, and then you really need to be careful and remove them when you catch them quickly. As mentioned in the first video, you want to work as clean as possible. Get your shop as clean as possible and the environment around it as clean as possible. All right, I moved the film around to where I want it to be, and again, this is a bulk install, pulling it right off the roll and trimming it to desired length. This isn't a kit that you can order that fits perfectly, that's cut to fit perfectly for the panel. And remember, there's not panels, this isn't on a vehicle where I can tack this to a fender or a bumper and pull tight. So I'm going to have to tack the corners of the film that's on this panel. Again, I like to use tack solution the least amount of times as possible and just rely on that slip solution. That way, if I have to pull back up and go after a contaminant a little bit later, you won't have the pull marks, or what that is, that's a distortion in the adhesive on the film from pulling and lifting after it's really been tacked down onto the panel. Hey guys, this may look easy on a Tesla hood flat like this, but if you want to practice, pick up yourself an F-150 hood, a Ford Tremor hood, and that will give you a good taste of what it's like to apply film where there's peaks and valleys. Okay, with the film position tacked, we can use our favorite squeegee and work out that slip solution from underneath the film, between the panel and the film, and that will allow the adhesive to come in full contact with the panel, and it'll grab hold. If you're working the whole hood, there's different methods you can use, like the T method, but what you want to do is when you're pulling out the solution, overlap your motion, your pull of the squeegee by a ½ inch or more, so you're ensuring yourself you're not leaving any air pockets or moisture. What I like to do is I'll stop without going too far, grab a towel, my short nap towel, wipe off the moisture, and check, have I left any air pockets, moisture pockets, or nibs or dust or contaminants underneath. Then I can stop. And I'll show you right here, there's a contaminant or two I'm going to go after, and since I haven't used tack solution and just the slip, it'll pull up rather easy without distorting the adhesion on the film, where I can go after those contaminants, remove them, tack down that film again, and move on. All right, we're good to go. We can get back to where we left off. The contaminant has been removed. Get them as soon as possible. If you hear me refer to fingers, that's going to be where the film is bunched up on the panel, and that happens sometimes because of the shape of the panel. If you have excess film hanging off the side doing bulk installation, and you just need to know the film, the contours, and the shape you're working on to know which way to pull that film taut to remove those fingers. That's what takes time. Again, you will not learn this just watching videos on YouTube, and maybe even not in a 2, 3, or 5-day class. You're going to have to get yourself some panels, practice and practice and practice on your own vehicle, test panels, and then eventually customers' vehicles. And once you do get started and you start getting comfortable, but you do run into some sticky situations where you're not sure what to do, there are some really helpful, incredible groups. I'll try to put some links down below where you can ask some questions and get some really good positive feedback without the attitude. Now, since this is bulk installation and it's not a kit where we can actually roll it over the edge, and that's excellent for not seeing any lines left behind. It's a nice clean install, but hey, you never know if it would be my vehicle and I did a kit and there'd be something small exposed. It would be my luck where a stone would fly up and hit the edge of the panel and chip it where there's no protection. So the bulk install will give you a great opportunity to roll all of the edges on the panel. And we're going to use the tack solution, which is the alcohol mix that I showed in the first video, to really flush out the tack solution and get the film to roll around the edge and stay there. So yeah, you always want a bottle of the tack and the slip solution. The slip so you can spray on top of the film so your squeegee glides along nicely without marring the film, and then the tack solution underneath so you can flush out the slip solution and get the film to stay down. I like to work the fingers on a bit of an angle. And then again, I'm going to grab the microfiber and check my work, making sure there's no contaminants under the film or pockets of air or moisture. We'll go back to flushing out that soapy slip solution with the tack solution, and we'll get those edges to lay down nicely. Double check those edges, especially with the tack solution, and work out the moisture. Sometimes likes to hang right there at the edge of a panel. Use some nice pressure and work it out. Sometimes there will be a bit of trimming needed to keep the film laying down nicely on the panel. If there's a lot of tension, you'll see fingers that just keep popping up. If you have a lot of film hanging over the edge with some tension, pop it and trim it. And I like to leave 1/4 inch. My favorite is a 1/2 inch off of the edge so I can roll it around, tuck it, and I'll trim it again later. And after trimming, you may have a stubborn finger or two. Address them immediately, and you'll be able to get those to stick down rather nicely now that it's trimmed and there's not a lot of tension. Now that the film is hanging over about a ½ inch, I can flush it one more time with the tack solution, and I'll let it be for about 2 hours or so. That'll give it a chance to dry out. That way we can roll over that film over the edges and it will stick nicely. While we're letting that happen, we can do some more trimming, and we can trim out the film around the little washer plug. And when you're scoring film, very, very, very light pressure. I actually, because of the angle that I'm looking at this, have the knife angled too high. It should be a little bit lower with light pressure, just scoring the film so you can pull it away from the paint, not going through the film into the paint itself, cutting it. Pop back in that trim, and there you go. No lines whatsoever. Again, we do minor disassembly. You can really go down the rabbit hole with that, but when it's an expensive package on some of these high-end vehicles, it's going to take a bit of disassembly to hide the film. If you want to speed up the process and don't want to wait a full 2, 3, 4 hours for the film to dry out a bit, you can break out the heat gun, and that will help warm up, get that adhesive tacky. That way you can roll those edges. I like to use the low nap microfiber to roll the edges. Simply continue this process all the way around the edge of the panel. Take your time. I don't like to be in a hurry with these installs. You could be efficient, but don't rush. Whatsoever, rolled over nicely. The panel is fully protected, and you want to go around and make sure there's no moisture or air pockets on the edge as well. This panel's not perfect. It's why it's not on the vehicle anymore, so some things will show through. There are some things that won't. You'd be surprised at what films hide, and I will get into that in future videos, so stand by. I like to then either pop up the hood, or if I have the panel off the vehicle, flip it over and do some more trimming. This hood here has the ends folded over and stamped, and there's an edge. I like to trim it right there. It'll blend in nicely with the panel. Pull away the excess, and you have a nice clean install. You can come back later with the heat gun and work those edges one more time, make sure the underneath here is sticking properly, and then move on. So that's going to do it for this video, the second video of the series. In the next one, we're going to show exactly how the film protects, what it will cover, and what will show through, and really get into it further. Catch you in the next video.